conscious, that's the unconscious thing, which we call the reflective, instinctive mind, the conscious mind, and the superconscious mind. Our body knows only three things, that is organic satisfaction, organic survival, and organic reproduction. It is highly selfish, and to fulfill these three things, nature has given attached greed, attachment, anger, lust, and ego with it. On the other hand, the spirit only knows love, bliss, mutuality, interdependence. And our mind, in between, keeps oscillating between selflessness, love, bliss on one hand, that is the spirit, and the body, that is selfishness on the other hand, keeps on oscillating. And it keeps on oscillating regularly. Now, what happens in this chart, you'll see there are four levels. The first one, and we exist at four levels, that's the physical level, the vital level, the mental level, and the spiritual level. At the physical level, our reactions are very raw, just survival, satisfaction, etc., etc. At the vital level, we do get certain raw emotions, raw thoughts. At the mental level, the discretion comes in. And at the spiritual level, it's reflexive wisdom. Now, the oscillating thing is by the waves. You see, now what happens when any impulse comes in? Since the mind is continuously oscillating, our reaction is dependent on the point or in the level at which our awareness at that point of time is. If our awareness is at the physical level, our reaction would be cross. If it's at the uh, spiritual level, it will be very fine, refined, etc., etc. And yoga is all about training us to stop the oscillation and have operate from a fixed, constant space. And how does this thing happen? You see the body is there, and then there's a round hole at the mind level, that's the red, and there's a smaller hole on top of the mind, that is the spirit. Now the body is larger than the door, that's the black, it cannot pass through. So yoga helps us in shedding out the superfluous, that is the raw feeling, raw existence. And once our body does that, it can transcend and move to the mind level. Now there's ego over there. The once you practice and the ego gets, you shed the ego, your mind transcends to the spirit level. And let me tell you, though these are only three levels, broadly, but the impact it has, it's very different. Even the mathematicians and the computers cannot calculate the difference which comes into our personality. The other theory is that, okay, we have waves. You see, all of us know neuroscience tells us that when we are in active thinking mode, our brain is going, the brain waves are going fast, up and down, up and down, up and down. They are the delta waves. They are the beta waves. When you do exercises, when you take some deep breaths, you do the asanas, they tend to come down. We get into the alpha state or the theta state, which is the calmer mind, more reflexive, more intuitive. And when we further lower it down to a delta state, we get into the reflexive mode thing, we reach the spiritual zone. Now, before moving ahead, I invite you to a small exercise. I would request you to just close your eyes and bring to your mind someone you don't like and think negative about that person. And now I invite you to bring your attention to your heart center. With the same person, try to think negative. Okay, you can open your eyes and just tell me how was the experience? Was there a difference when you focused on your mind and thought negative? Then you focused on your heart and tried thinking negative. Was there a difference? Was thinking negative from the heart center equally simple or difficult? Yeah, what was your experience, Ruth?
From the heart center, it was a little bit more difficult. I have to say.
Difficult, right? Cecilia, what was your experience?
I, I think I got confused because I was thinking negative and after
Okay,
positive, not thinking from the heart and from the heart. So
okay,
I was
okay,
repeating the exercise and I will tell
okay.
you later. Sorry.
Yeah, Robert, can I have your? Okay, the this is the natural conflict which happens in all of us. Our mind is our mind is an organ which creates duality in us: the good, bad, right, wrong, ethical, unethical, right? And it thinks from how will it if impact me, negative or positive. So it's a thinking piece which thinks of both negative and positive. And let's not forget one thing: mind is the mother of ego, I. And when the heart is a one-way traffic, it only knows love. So, like Ruth said, it was difficult, yes, when she got her attention to the heart. It was difficult because there was a conflict between the mind and the heart.
Mhm.
The mind was pushing her to think negative, but the heart was saying, nope, negative not allowed in my world. And yoga helps us to dissolve this conflict. And I'm raising all these things because these are the points which we do not usually pay attention to. Now, the third question is how yoga, right? Now, that's the answer is very simple, that yoga is something that we need to imbibe. Yoga is a state where we need to practice. It's a journey. We need to carry yoga with us, right? And yoga is more mental and spiritual than physical. Accept this thing and you start working on everything. Now, in this background, now let me quickly dive into Bhagavad Gita. Now, Bhagavad Gita is one of the first Indian text, which brought the concept of yoga in a structured format. It is said to be created somewhere, written somewhere 1500 before Christ. And what you see in the definition in the yellow band, Bhagavad Gita is just talking of the human ethical sense. It says that yoga is a balanced state of the body and mind. It's a balanced state of emotions. You're neither too happy nor too sad. It's a balanced state between thoughts and intellect. Yoga is the perfect skilled or behavior, skilled action or behavior. In this definition, we nowhere see any mention of the physical dimension. The physical dimension gets mentioned by Patanjali, which will be I'll be taking up next. Now, Bhagavad Gita is talks about people, and since it wants to help people, it's a treaties to help people live a holier life, better life, a fuller life for self and society. So, what it does is it categorizes people on the basis of tendencies in three categories. One is the sattvic, the people who believe in purity. Now, these people are highly ethical. Their ethical sense is highly developed. And if you remove these people from society, there'll be total chaos. They're the guys, men and women, who keep society sane. Then comes the Rajsik. Now, these are the people who believe in action. They want to do something, they want to achieve something, they want to contribute to the society. Even their sense, ethical sense, is developed, but only till the time their self interest is not impacted. The moment you hurt their self interest, they forget everything about ethics and they become a brute, they become absolutely ruthless, and they can go to any extent to protect themselves. Now, if we remove these people from society, there would be no innovation, there would be no forward movement, there would be nothing. And the last one are the tamasics, are the people. Now, these people are the people who believe in darkness. They only know selfishness. They got a zero ethical sense. These are the people who create chaos, disorder, crime, etc., etc. Yes, these people can be removed from society, but sorry, that's not possible. Now, dividing the world or the entire population in three parts, Bhagavad Gita moves forward and gives three yogas. That is the Karam Yoga, the Gyan Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Now, Karam Yoga is all about doing what your duties, your responsibilities with full earnestness, full dedication, diligence, with full honesty, but without bothering about the result. Doing the act for the love of the act, not the result. That is Karam Yoga. The other is Gyan Yoga. Now, the Gyan Yoga is for people, who are motivated by knowledge. It is not the knowledge of physics, chemistry, maths, geography, or politics. It is the knowledge of reality. And this is supposed to be higher than the Karam Yoga. That is the action oriented yoga. Over here, since there are more people get insights, they start understanding. And the last one, that is the Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means surrender, devotion. Now, this is for people who believe in love, who are motivated by love. So they surrender themselves to the higher power, to the higher consciousness. Now, it is also said that these three yogs, they are mutually inclusive and at the same time exclusive. Exclusive because, yes, each one can be practiced independently. And I'll just explain how they are inclusive. When you do Karam Yoga in its true sense, that is, you are doing something with all earnestness, with all focus, with all intensity, without bothering about the results. To achieve that stage, you got to get rid of your attachments, you got to get rid of your ego, you got to get rid of your expectations. And getting rid of this expectation, attachments, egos, yes, elevates your consciousness. And once this is out, you start seeing the reality in a different form. You see, you start seeing the larger expense of reality, which is very different than the limited reality of our mind, because our minds are limited by the experiences they have. So this brings about a profound change in their being. And once the Gyan yogi, the knowledge yogi, gets drunk on the impact of reality, he gets so devoted that he surrenders himself and devotes his life to take his consciousness up, become more aware. Now, believe me, no external change will happen. Life will go on as it is. Only the internal perception would change. For example, a person with low consciousness might think that money is the end goal for him or her. But a person with a higher consciousness, for him or her, money would be a means to an end. So only the perception changes. Externally, nothing changes. And how does this yoga also helps the three categories, which you can see down? When the tamasics, that is the people without any ethical sense, try and practice these yogas, some sense of ethicalness starts developing into them, and they move a category higher. That is to the Rajasic people. When the Rajasic, who have a developed sense of ethics, but they forget their ethics when their self-interests are hit. Now, since because in the yoga, the first thing to be get rid of is the ego, automatically their awareness levels also increase and they move to the sattvic level. And since the sattvic people have a developed sense, already have a developed sense, when they practice it, they only end up strengthening it. So this was the philosophy of yoga in Bhagavad Gita in a nutshell. Since the time is short, I'll take you to the next one. That is the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Now, this is a fantastic thing. It's divided in 4 chapters. The first one, right, is Samadhi Pad. It's all about the technology. The second one is the practices. Practices, Patanjali is divided into two, that is Kriya, and the other one is Ashtang. Ashtang means 8. Now, if you see the chart, the Kriya gets merged in the second dimension of Ashtang. The third one is perfection, over where he puts concentration, meditation, and samadhi. Now, again, they form a part of the Ashtang, that is point 678. And if you see the arrows, so everything gets focused on the Ashtang, that is the 8 principles. Now, these 8 things, which are yum, right? I'll just expand it so that you can have a better look. Right? The first one is yamas, that is the external discipline. The second one is internal discipline. The third one is postures. The fifth one is pranayam. The next one is going beyond your 5 senses. Then is the concentration, meditation, and union. Now, a lot of people believe that these 8 are sequential. They are not sequential. They are simultaneous. They are like an orchestra. I think the best way to imagine or to really understand them, let's imagine them to be 8 instrumental pieces, all have to play together. The symphony will come only when all the 8 play together in synchronicity. If any one of them doesn't play to the script, the symphony will start losing its impact and it will become more of a noise. And what I find is most of us do is we would do the asanas, we do the pranayams, we would do dhyan, meditation, etc., etc. But where we miss out is the external discipline and the internal discipline aspect. Now, what does the internal discipline aspect entail? Okay, the yamas, which are the external disciplines, these are ethical vows, moral imperatives. They consist of non-violence, not only physical, it's non-violence, mental, speech, thoughts, everything. Similarly, truthfulness. It is not just saying something which is correct, it is also developing the tact of saying the correct thing in the right manner at the right time. Because if I say the truth and it hurts you, then I'm violating the first principle of non-violence, the non-stealing, marital fidelity, non-greed. Now, these are the things. Now, from where do they originate? They originate primarily from insight, from our thoughts, from our experiences, from our mindsets, from our emotions. And now, coming to the second part, that is the niyams: purity of body, mind, speech, and action, acceptance of reality as it is, austerity, perseverance, self study and introspection, contemplation of higher self and the true self. Again, what are these? Again, these originate from our internal self. These originates from our consciousness, from our awareness levels. And here is where yoga comes into play. That to increase our awareness from the lower thing to the higher consciousness and lead a life full of health, full of meaning, full of purpose. Yoga does not want us to run away from life. It wants us to live life. Whenever there's a stimuli, it's immediately passed on to our brain. There are two components of our brain, the emotional brain and the thinking brain. The emotional brain receives the stimulus much faster than the thinking brain. Now, our emotional brain is governed, knows only one thing: to treat everything as a threat to us. And then, based on our past experiences, decide whether it's a threat or not. And it has only three actions or reactions, I'll put it this way: fight, flight, or freeze. Science says that it takes zero point 0.1 second for the stimulus to reach our emotional brain, and it takes zero point 0.8 seconds to reach the thinking brain. This difference of zero point 0.7 seconds is sufficient for our emotional brain to take over and make us react in an autopilot mode. And you'll be surprised that 98% times, 95, 96, 97, 8% times, we are reacting on autopilot.
Mm.
But the science says if you want and if you desire, you can stop reacting on the autopilot mode. You can build a pause between the stimulus and the reaction. And this is exactly what yoga teaches us to do. Now, the question is, till the time we keep on reacting on the autopilot mode, it's like playing on a slot machine. You win, you lose, you lose. There's no surety. Don't all of us a number of times behave and react in manners which we would normally hate to do so? Are there not times when we land up reacting in a manner and then we keep on repenting, why the hell did I react in so and so thing, in so and so manner? Does it happen with you? That you realize after reacting? Yes, Balwan, I can see a big smile on your face, eh? It happens, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, sometimes I surprise myself. It's
Yes.
in traffic or something. Oh, goodness.
Okay. Now, the point is, like I said, yoga and science both put together, they say, yes, you can create a pause. How do you create a pause? To create a pause, you need to master the art of observing. Mind it, I'm using the word observing. I'm not saying seeing. Seeing is just becoming aware. Observing is more than that. Observing has to take place at the internal level and at the external level, at both levels. And when can you observe? Only when you have control over your attention. How many times do you guys find your attention not being with you, being either in the past or in the future, procrastinating? Yes, Robert? Again, I see a smile on your face, eh?
Yeah, big time.
So you got to develop a, excuse me, I just have a glass of water. And we get control over the attention and we can manage attention only once we develop the attitude of accepting reality as it is. You see, instinctively, we don't want to see anything which is painful to us. We don't want to think about it. Therefore, we don't want to see ourselves in the mirror and see our true personality. And when something, which is obnoxious springs up, all of a sudden we say, oh, it is because she did this thing, therefore I reacted this way. No, 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 it's not this, it's my parents' fault. They treated me this thing, therefore it has become my nature. We find excuses. And we live out of those excuses, we live out of those mindsets. So and we can, the science and yoga says we can develop all the four things. Now I'll quickly take you through how do we develop the four things. Look, we live in two worlds simultaneously. I'm talking of attention now. We live in two worlds simultaneously, the physical world and the mental world. Attention is the bridge. Attention is that energy which bridges both the worlds. You, you remove attention, you will find that the internal world cannot relay the message to your brain. Your mind will fail to relay the message to the brain and you will fail to act. And the attention is the most powerful thing. If you remove attention from your life, you just can't imagine attention from your life. The life without attention, sorry, my mistake. And Harvard research says 50% of our times our attention is not with us. If I take an average lifespan of 75 years, out of 24 hours, let's put aside 8 hours, that is one third for sleeping and getting ready, etc., etc. So out of 75, I'm left with 50 years. And out of this 50 years, productive 50 years, 25 years, my attention is not with me. You can calculate for yourself how much time are we wasting. And if by the techniques of yoga and the other exercises, which I'll just share with you, you can save even 10% of the time out of 25 years, which we are wasting, you tend to gain 2.5 years, and 2.5 years is not a small time. A number of your wishes, aspirations, desires, goals could be completed in that point of time. Now, the question is attention and mind, when they come together, they also create illusions, delusions. Again, I'll quickly invite you to an exercise for you to experience how the mind influences the body and how illusions are created. I would request all of you, invite all of you to close your eyes and stretch your palm, hand straight in front of you without any rest, with your palm facing the top, like I've done. Now just follow my instructions. Your eyes are closed. I am putting a small piece of marble on your palm. Now feel the glass, the temperature of the marble, the shape of the marble, the smoothness of the glass. Just feel it. Feel the weight of the marble, probably 10 grams. Now I am picking up the marble and replacing it with a tennis ball. Feel the roughness of feel the shape, the size, the weight, the felt. And now I'm picking up the tennis ball and putting a brick of 3 kilograms on your palm. Feel the coarseness of the brick, the weight of the brick. Okay, I'm lifting the brick also. Open your eyes and tell me what happened. What happened? When I put the brick on your palm, what happened? You started feeling the weight?
Yes, my arm dropped.
Yes.
Your arm dropped?
Yes.
Okay. Now this is what I wanted to demonstrate to you. You are fully aware that there was no marble, there was no tennis ball, and there was no brick. Still, just the thought made you feel that weight.
Mm.
So this is what mind does to us. And how do we get out of it? We get out of it by raising our consciousness. And how do you raise your consciousness? Now, okay, now from the spiritual angle, it's something very different. I'm just focusing on the simple exercises to train our attention. Pranayam is a beautiful exercise to train your attention. And all of you do it, I know it. So I need not explain that. But amongst the pranayam also, one simple exercise of putting all your focus on your nostrils, closing your eyes, and for 5 minutes, just keep breathing. And with every inhale and exhale, just feel the sensation the inhale and the exhale is creating on your nostrils. Just do that. Or you could just make your attention ride with every inhale, go inside your body, and with every exhale, come out of your body. Just do that for 5 minutes. After a few minutes, what you'll find that some thought, random thought comes in or something, your attention goes away. From there, you get distracted. Don't bother, that's normal. Without judging yourself, with love, just bring your attention back to where it was, that is the nostril or the breath. You do this thing regularly and you'll find that over a period of time, 15 days, 20 days, you'll start seeing the difference. You'll be in a position to hold your attention much better. And a simpler thing is, everyone brushes in the morning, right? It hardly takes a minute. When you're brushing, just brush with full attention. Let no other thought come to your mind that time. Just brush with full attention. Eat a toast with full attention. That's it. Here the thing is, the process is not important. Sending the message to the brain is much more important. And believe me, our brain learns by repetition. The more you repeat, the faster it will learn. And the more it learns, the more it'll be converted into a habit.
Can I share
Okay,
something?
so
Can I,
yes,
can I share something, Sandeep?
yeah,
I might have heard
yeah,
of
sure.
you might have heard of
Yes,
Vipassana meditation. You might have heard of
pa-
Vipassana.
pardon?
Vipassana.
Yes, yes, yeah, Vipassana meditation, yes, it's the same thing.
Yeah. It just I attended my
Yeah,
first
yeah,
course last year, and this reminds me very similar. The principles and
yeah. So that's great. That's great. So you're already aware of what I'm talking about, right?
yes.
The next is the observation, right? Now, in the paucity of time, because I've just got half an hour and I would also like to take you through a meditation, okay? I'll just quickly take you through the observation thing. You see, usually we observe only what we want to observe. If you want, you can just note it down. Make it a habit to observe 5 things which you usually don't observe. It could be as small as a crack on the wall, a spot on the wall, an insect on the windowsill, right? The color of the flower petal, 5 things. Feel 4 things which you usually don't feel. How my hands are feeling me, how your clothes are, how you are feeling when the clothes touch, or how do you feel when you say rub your fingers on your forehead. Just 4 things. Here three with here 3 things. Using the sense of hearing. Here 3 things in the environment. Similarly, using the sense of smell. Smell 2 things in the environment at that point of time. And using the sense of taste. Taste 1 thing. Again, if you do this thing, you'll find that over a period of time, you'll start observing much better, much more keener. You'll start seeing things which usually you don't see. And the better you see, the better is the comprehension, better is your awareness. The more the awareness, better are your decision making, better is your knowledge. As far as the internal observation is concerned, if you really look and if you're self-aware, you'll find that before you react or before you give any reaction, either verbally or physically, there's a sensation before that in your body. So that becomes the signboard that you are going to react. Okay, I'll just come on the Q&A part, and this is an important exercise. Let's try it out. I would invite you to just close your eyes, sit straight, take a few deep breaths, and bring to your mind something which happened recently and which made you angry. And try to live that moment as vividly as possible and see how your body is reacting to it. Get the same players in. Let them speak to each other the way they did. Just enact the entire thing. Something negative. Just observe how your body has behaved. And now replace this thing, this scenario with something which made you very happy. You were thrilled with life. You were very happy. And just again see how did your body react. Great. Would anyone like to share their experience with me? When you thought of the negative part or something which made you angry or sad, did you feel any twitching or some sensation or some tightness in your body?
Tenseness.
Tightness, right?
Yeah, tense. I was tense again.
Tense again. Okay, great. And when you thought of something happy, again, there was a reaction?
It was released.
Released.
Mhm.
Now, you see, whenever we react, whenever a stimuli comes in, it triggers a reaction in us, and that reaction first manifests in the body and then in reality. So, internal observation means that we learn to identify these reactions which precede the actual action of ours. And once we start identifying them, then we can take a step back by taking a deep breath and creating that space between the stimuli and the reaction, which is pause. And once you start identifying the pause, you are a changed person. And the method is very simple. Stop what you are doing, take a deep breath, observe what story your mind is weaving, take a decision and proceed. And the last is acceptance. Acceptance, yes, is again gratitude, compassion, thankfulness. These are the practices, which get the ego out, which make your mind and brain think that the other person is equivalent to you, is not an object for your gratification or to serve you, but a subject just like you. So automatically the feeling of mutuality, interdependence comes in play. And mind it, I have not said empathy, I have said compassion. Empathy is feeling for the other person. And when you become very empathetic, sometimes that empathy also impacts you negatively. Compassion is one step ahead. It is a desire to help the other person to be relieved of the pain. So your attention and focus is very different. So yes, so with this thing, this was just a snapshot of the philosophy of yoga, some science and certain things which we could do in addition to what we do so that we get full benefits of yoga. And yoga nowhere says, the philosophy of yoga nowhere says, don't do this or do only this. It only talks of the object and the goal, what you got to achieve and what you got to achieve. Balwan, we have 20 minutes left. Okay. I had also designed a small meditation for them. It's an awareness meditation. So if I take them through, then probably we'll need to cut down on the Q&A because if you want to close in 90 minutes.
Or 5 minutes if you want to kind of ask if anybody have any question or want to discuss or something and they
Okay.
like to maybe for let's say next workshop if they anyone wants to talk Sandeep something specific you are missing. Sandeepji, in lots of our teachers we know, so we have not learned yoga
Hmm.
philosophy to the deepest, like in our most of our yoga Bikram yoga teachers, and so we miss that. So in future, it will be great that if we can kind of learn more yoga philosophy on a deeper level?
Uh,
Or
Balwant,
even
I'll only say,
Patanjali Yoga Sutra also.
you see, today I'll put it this way, this was very top down view, right? It was more of a stadium view, which I took today because of the paucity of time. You know, the things are much deeper. If even if the niyams we started talking, or the yamas we started talking of, that is the internal discipline and the external discipline, which really impacts our lives. You see, the entire arc would have gone if I'd taken up one thing by one thing. So today I've just given a flavor, the composite whole, right, of the philosophy of yoga. Well, we could do that, Balwan, but then it requires more time.
Okay.
No, no,
Abhinav, he's
it's
saying,
a very, very, but let me, Balban, put it together. Can I speak, Balban?
please.
Thank you, Sandeep ji. It was very awesome. I'll tell you a couple of things. And please, guys who are joining with us, I've taken a lot of philosophy lectures, but this was kind of a little bit of different, but I got a lot to learn. What did I learn? Learning part was like the way Sandeep ji is putting body, mind, and soul, this connection and the level, because usually you hear it's a conscious, subconscious, unconscious mind, and then vibrations and the brithies and then all these things. But I really appreciate the way Sandeep ji has put together the vibrations in kind of attentions, all these new ideas coming in the mind with a body, mind, and soul. And it's very true, Sandeep ji was trying to relate it, that when we react at our physical level, when we try to react, a different reaction. And if you are reacting towards a mind level, is a little bit more different. And then when you go on the heart level to react on something, it becomes totally a different reaction. Same person will react three different ways if he's reacting from physical, mental, and spiritual. Because if I'm reacting physically, let's say if I see a situation, I'll just try to use more of my seeing, like how powerful is my arms, how powerful is my legs. If I have some weapon, I'll try to use that weapon to relax that situation. But at the same time, if I start thinking of mental reaction, then I will start calculating like, is it worth to react to the situation? Yes or no? Or I can escape out, or I can kind of put together some kind of idea to other person like, hey, I don't want to fight with you because there is no use of fighting. So we start reacting a different way, rather just going aggressively and hitting that person. And number third is that if I start thinking on emotional level or the spirit level, if I have to react or fight with a person, I'm going to start thinking like, hey, I'm going to be hurting other organism or another person. Like, hey, why am going to be fighting with you? Why don't we can have a love and sit down, talk some situations out and move on in our life so that love can be more prevailed. So Sandeep ji, I really appreciate you made this Saturday morning awesome. And I really kind of give you credit. So Balwan, this was very special thing I learned from this kind of presentation today. And as Sandeep ji said, it's a very profound subject, philosophy. Everybody, this is really a start, but great information to learn and change our life. A little bit more going deeper, a little bit more, just 1 minute more, I'll take it. So Sandeep ji, basically Balwan was trying to kind of add on like the more like yamas and yamas, like you said, there's no time, of course, but a little bit later, what we can put together is a section. Then we can talk about only yamas and yamas. As what I have learned in my life is like yamas are the power, like you're saying, you become powerful. So non-violence, if you practice non-violence, if I practice non-violence in true sense, I start generating power. Same the power, a student like in Bikram Yoga, we do standing head to knee. If I can master standing head to knee, I'm mastering my leg strength, I'm mastering my arm strength, I'm mastering my spinal strength, and then only I can hold that posture for 30 seconds, 1 minute. So the same way, if somebody is practicing yama is something external discipline, non-violent. If I become totally non-violent and I don't react to the other person who's becoming very violent, I will develop a power, or a person can develop a power to turn other person totally non-violent. I mean, if I'm not going to fight, other person is not going to fight. For example, the same. I mean, we can talk about. So I think, Balwan, we are on the right track. You're doing a great job, and bringing people like Sandeep ji is awesome. As a practitioner and a students, we have to just connect a little bit out here and there. And I think this can be awesome and wonderful initiative. And I really thank everybody. And thank you again, Sandeep ji, from my heart. And thank you so much, Balwan, for this. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, Abhinav.
Francesca, uh, We missed you. Actually, where you are joining from? Oh, unmute. Francesca. Okay.
Yes, I would welcome any questions if anyone has, or comments, like I would like to share something.
I would like to share something.
Yes,
Please
please.
go ahead.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful start to my Saturday morning is to engage with people all over the world to talk about heartfelt disciplines and how to cope, especially during this pandemic. You know, I find that my meditation is really helping me cope with whatever I'm experiencing during this difficult time that everybody's having during this global pandemic. And also, I just wanted to add, I read something just a few days ago that very similar, Sandeep, regarding your feeling, how you would feel when you start from the heart center. Also, something analogous to that would be imagining if you're a spiritual person, having your God or something spiritual next to you while you're going through a difficult situation. So that also helps me manage and be more cognizant of my negative behavior. So you mentioned reacting from the heart center, comparing from not from the heart center. So I think for me, similar when I think about if I'm a spiritual person, my faith. So I think about my God next to me and just thinking from that perspective, and that helps me control my, control my negative behavior. It kind of helps me come inside instead of just reacting and not really observing. Like, so thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, anyone else? Yes, Robert, yes.
Was that a go?
Oh, I have a cat, a Siamese cat that likes to talk a lot.
Sandeep, can I share?
Yes, yes, please, Cecilia.
Yes, for me, the thing that I have learned from your speech has been the illusion, because you always know about illusion, things that are not true, but you really feel it. And now, with your explanation, I understand much better how the illusion is created. So, with the join of the attention and your mind, and I really love the exercise in your putting some brick in your hand and the ball, and yeah, it was very interesting to me.
Yeah,
Thank you, Cecilia.
I like that
You're
too.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. So, Robert, what was your experience?
Um, it went over a lot of stuff that I've forgotten about. I have problems remembering things and retaining labels, and but it was a really good refresher, and it's given me a lot to think about and how to how to practice during my day-to-day life. Like when you were talking about think of a negative aspect that's occurred, one of my big things is driving and dealing with other drivers and having compassion, or maybe compassion's not the correct word. Just to be a better driver. For me, to be a better driver is to not get angry at other drivers for their inabilities or their inconsiderations or whatever the reason is. They don't use a turn signal, or they do this or they do that. Recognizing how it brings up my own feelings why it brings out my own feelings and how to rectify that. I used to be a very angry individual, and I've over the years since practicing the Bikram yoga, it's helped me a lot. It's actually saved me in a way. Um, and I'd like to think to become a better person in the process.
A simple question. Could you guys relate it to whatever I said, could relate it to your everyday life?
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, because you see, if you could relate it to your life, I think my job is done. Because, a number of times what happens, we pick up the complicated thing and we're very happy, oh, we have understood a complicated concept, but the reality is the most complicated thing is the most simple thing. So my effort is always that, okay, you talk in such a manner that people relate and carry something with them. So yes, Balwan, what are your comments?
It's just I will probably invite if anybody have final kind of or something to for the if they like it. So which other subject you guys want to Sandeep to touch or subject topic?
Balwan, can I just tell them, you see,
Uh-huh.
when I do it in a sequential manner, right?
Okay, sure.
So there are 4, 5 modules, which we do over a period of, let's say, a month, say once in 10 days or once a week or once a fortnight, depending.
Uh-huh.
You see, one is obviously the philosophy and science of yoga,
Sure.
where today a lot was generic and that will be more specific. Okay. Then cultivating mind, body, spirit awareness,
Sure.
or integrating the heart, mind, hand, right? So that you speak what you think and you think what you do. Okay. Then is developing self-regulation, where the yamas and the niyams come in, and our basal nature, our basal tendencies, our inborn tendencies don't push us away from that. And they happen reflexively. We don't even realize. Then happiness and stress is one aspect. And then the last is, all these things put together, improving our mental, physical, and spiritual life. So usually, this is a 10-hour thing, 2 hours, which depending on the people, we increase the time or decrease the time. One thing leads to the other. And we give a gap so that people could practice and we could handhold in case they're facing any problem. Because
We can
unless
do one thing. If on one more topic, we can invite you one more workshop, and then if you have something kind of a structured, more hourly based or more kind of a course type, then we can ask them if if they like to join. We can do one more session. And how was sign up, everyone? That it was easy to find this this event. Okay.
I found it, so thank you.
Thank you, thank you. You guys can help us to promote also a little bit. Like I will teach you that just with one click, you can send it to your friends. So when we are doing this event promotion, so it's just because the beginning. So the idea is that we can kind of more outreach for people like Sandeep. So and if you know anyone that can be a great addition to this platform, so please. And I am believing that you are all part of this Global Yoga Network group.
Not me.
Sure, I can find you. And okay.
So yes, Balwan. So
Sure.
I think we had a good number, 14 to start with, 16 in fact, some have left. Thank you, everyone. And I loved your participation. And I really enjoyed the interaction, right? Yes.
Thank you, Francesca. Thank you.
I don't know
Thank you.
how I can't. I don't know how I got in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know
You,
how.
Francesca and Cecilia, you stay here, and then I will teach you how to find and next time.
You can hear
JD,
me?
yeah. JD, are you from Delhi? Is it muted?
And Sandeep?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, JD. Yeah, I'm from Delhi. Where are you?
I'm now in Toronto, but I have been in Delhi all along. And
Okay. You're
pleasure,
from Toronto. Yeah.
pleasure listening to you. And thank you, Balwan, for the opportunity. I certainly found your, simply put, philosophy to be quite stimulating and connecting to personal life. And I've been taking interest in that. When you gave me the exercise, I'll take maybe closer to a minute. When you gave me the exercise, frankly, I have been going through a thorough self-introspection of mine. So I was thinking and have been thinking through that there could be no bad person than I am. So I was looking at really how bad I am, whether from the mind or from the heart and so on. And of course, I felt it difficult to switch on with the heart to begin with. I have been coming specifically for a tip in case I could, or maybe in the subsequent session, or could reach you in Delhi, and also Balwan, and need your guidance on that. How do I strengthen linkage between my brain and the mind? I'm an academic, I'm a researcher, I'm also a practitioner in business in terms of consulting and so on. I'm actively leading a life, and I'm very happy, whether I was in India or I'm now here. But often when I go on to my thinking plane, including in my spiritual mindset, I find very often the mind takes over the brain, and sometimes the brain doesn't respond that fast. Though I've underwent some neuro tests also, and they say everything is okay. So could there be a tip to do that? Because any pause between, like you said, there's a pause between a 0.7 second, reacting from emotion versus reacting from the heart. And many a time I'm able to overcome that. Yeah, sure.
You see, I don't know how you define mind, right? And what do you understand of mind? Because a lot depends how you perceive things, right? And my suggestion would be, if you want any help, probably you could connect with me offline, right?
Okay, sure.
And yeah, I'll be more than willing to help you out, understand. And let me tell you one thing: the mind without the brain is meaningless, right?
Precisely.
And the brain without the mind is also meaningless.
That's why I said how to strengthen the relationship and see to it that I re-engineer the auto mode and not get into the auto mode, but re-engineer the auto mode.
You see, in the last four things which I talked about: attention, pause, acceptance, right, and observation, is primarily re-engineering that dimension of mind, the brain, because the brain learns by repetition. The brain only thinks in pictures, and the brain is the only organ in the human body, right, which keeps on restructuring and reorganizing itself from birth to death. And this process is called neuroplasticity.
What is it called?
Neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity. Okay. And to give you a simple example.
That's a big one. Can you help?
Pardon?
I said, that's a big one. Can you help explain?
Yes, this is what I'm going to do. You see, whenever there is a stimulus, a thought, or anything, neurons are shot in our brain, and they travel on a particular path. They travel on the path they're used to travel. Okay. Now let's take an example. Your house is in the middle of a field, a green field, right? So there's grass everywhere. Now you are used to walking on a particular path. On the path which you walk, the grass goes dead and there's only ground over there, right? Now, when a new thought comes in, so the brain, the neuron tends to move the other side, not on the original thing, okay? So when it moves on the new path, initially it's difficult, but as you keep on repeating it, it'll keep moving on the new path. So that path at a new place would emerge and the old path would be covered with grass. And this is the basis where we shed old habits and form new habits.
Very good.
Have I been able to explain it to you?
Yeah. Good. Good. I think.
Right.
Yeah,
So
it's,
that is
it's adapting. It's adapting. No, thanks, Sandeep. I will. I think.
Yeah.
Sure. And thanks, Balwan, for the opportunity.
Thanks,
It was good. It was
JD,
good.
I have seen you, I think, first time.
Yeah.
How
I got to know of this for the first time only, so I thought let me try and reconnect and sure.
Cecilia, I can show you where is the group. So I'm doing the screen share.
Okay. Lovely.
And so if Global Yoga Network, and otherwise send me a friend request or something. So Global
Perfect.
Yoga Network, and there are two. When we write Global Yoga Network, so I will change the name of this page. This is also ours. So when Global
Okay.
Yoga Network, then this is also ours, Yoga Talk. But then I will change the name of. So this is the group here.
Perfect.
Lots of pictures here, and then just join it, and then feel free to send me Sandeep ji a friend request also. So
sure.
And yeah, so this
Okay, thank you.
perfect. And we uh, bring kind of more free events. So the idea is that just connecting.
Okay, amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, Balwan. Thank you. Thank you, Sandeep.
JD, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Francesca.
Welcome.
Thank you. Robert, nice to see you.
Nice seeing you.
So nice to see everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, same here. Same from here. See you next time whenever.
Your cat's
possible.
beautiful.
Wonderful weekend. Nice, great weekend.
You too. You
Thank
too. And
you.
Sandeep ji too.
Beautiful.
Thank you,
Take care.
Jerry.
Take
Thank you.
care.
Namaste, everybody. Namaste.
Peace be with you all.
That's the, yeah.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is so beautiful.